Latest Futures number 1, Creating New Futures. Majority of text is black Arial font. Image description. In the shape of an elongated rectangle, a banner with a black background and hollow pink capitalized text states, Creating New Futures. Each word is on its own line, and a solid pink line extends away from creating, which is flush left, towards new, which is flush right, and away from futures, which is flush left. In pink, bolded, and centered text, the first heading reads, Latest Futures number 1. In black text below, well, this is exciting, our first Creating New Futures newsletter, which we are calling Latest Futures. The plan is that we, CNF's Communication Working Group, will offer the latest on a monthly basis. So here we are, the first one. A black line separates the first block of text from the second. In black bolded text, flush left, the title of the second block of text reads, Who We Are. In pink hyperlinked text, Creating New Futures Phase 1 Working Guidelines for Ethics and Equity in Presenting Dance and Performance, end hyperlink, is a document, ongoing conversation, and outline of the needs and desires of arts workers in the dance and performance fields. It was drafted as a call to action. Phase 2 consists of working groups that emerged in response to what was missing or what was revealed from the Phase 1 document. Phase 2 consists of working groups that include Black and Indigenous survivors, Disability Plus, intersectional writers, contracts and force majeure, communications and publicity, funding/finance, and potential groups in discussions such as the Nature Culture Watershed. Please follow our new pink hyperlink text Instagram page, end hyperlink text, for updates on the Phase 2 work. We will also update via this monthly newsletter and begin hyperlink pink text Facebook, end hyperlink text. A black line separates the second block of text from the third block of text. In pink, bolded, flush left text, the next heading reads, Funding Announcement, in black text below. Creating New Futures is thrilled to announce that the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation has approved a grant in the amount of $50,000 to the National Performance Network, Incorporated, our acting fiscal sponsor. The purpose of the grant is to support the Creating New Futures project, specifically the ongoing work of Phase 2. With transparency as a named value within CNF, budgets of each working group will be shared once they are solidified. We are grateful that the work will continue. Italicized text. The mission of the hyperlinked text Doris Duke Charitable Foundation's Arts Program, end hyperlinked text, is to support artists with the creation and public performance of their work, end italic text. A black line separates the third block of text from the fourth block of text. In pink, bolded, flushed left text, the next heading reads, Disability Justice Teach-In Announcement. In black text below, Disability Plus Working Group here. In mid-December, CNF will be partnering with hyperlink National Performance Network, end hyperlink, parentheses NPN, end parentheses, to sponsor a disability justice teach-in led by hyperlink Access-Centered Movement, end hyperlink, parenthetical ACM, end parentheses. The Disability Plus Working Group of CNF was developed in response to an absence of disabled perspectives within CNF's Phase 1 document. This disability justice teach-in offers an opportunity for CNF and its partners to learn about disability culture from an intersectional perspective. ACM will provide resources for accessibility in community work and the ongoing practice of access, rather than fixed practices of checking boxes which more frequently harm and exclude disabled people. We hope this signals the need to center and continue the learning from disabled knowledge. A black line separates the fourth block of text from the fifth block of text. In pink, bolded, flush left text, the next heading reads, "A little bit from our CNF working groups." The title of each working group is in black, bolded text. The first working group, Black and Native Survivors Working Group. The Black and Native Survivors Working Group continues to work within the specific cultural ecosystems of the artistic expression of Black and Native survivors of ongoing state violence. We are focusing on the reparations budget line in the existing CNF operating budget. We think Black and Native peoples should self-determine how that money is spent by CNF. We are holding open office hours for fellow Black and Native survivors within CNF so that we can advocate for our desires across the collective. Next working group, Disability Plus Working Group. The Disability Plus Working Group is directed towards compilation of testimony from disabled/chronically ill/DDB/DDH dance and performance workers about their experiences, needs, and critiques of institutions and professional relationships within the field. We are led by Disabled Plus arts workers. Our collective is currently on pause and has been since the end of September. This is in part because we met some scheduling challenges for our BIPOC members, parentheses, we don't meet without our BIPOC members, end parentheses, but largely because throughout Phase 2 of CNF, too much time and labor has been spent responding to exclusionary practices, creating accessibility procedures, and educating the community within CNF, rather than doing the work of building resources for the field at large. As a result, we shifted our focus, and a couple of members organized a disability justice teach-in for all of CNF with access-centered movement. Parenthetical, see more about this above, end parentheses. Prior to the pause, the working group met weekly to define the group's reach, discuss past and current situations in the field, and provide context from each individual's life work. Our ongoing work includes broad swaths of written and audio access recommendations for the wider movement field, which will eventually be shared through a multidimensional platform. The Disability Plus Working Group plans to conduct artist interviews with Disabled Plus participants to deepen our access recommendations and have wider first-person record in our various sharings. Next working group, Intersectional Writer Working Group. We are only just beginning to put our group conversations onto the page. Our hope is that what we vision together will be a CNF intersectional writer that funders would adopt and then require whoever is receiving funding to sign on to implementing what the writer states. We hope that artists will adopt the writer as an addendum to their tech writers, as an act of solidarity and acknowledgement of intersectionality resulting in real change. We also hold a desire for the writer to open and state clearly that this is not a checklist, but a process that requires ongoing conversation and collective visioning toward building culture together in sculpting new space. The CNF intersectional writer will consider and propose structures of accountability. We hope to share a draft to the larger CNF community for feedback and suggestions soon. Next working group, Contracts/Force Majeure Working Group. We are focusing on crafting a sample contract/contract template which upholds the ethics principles articulated in the Creating New Futures Working Guidelines document. Using Dance Place, a dance presenter based in Washington, D.C., as a guinea pig case study, Ben Levine and Sarah Greenbaum began a process of overhauling the organization's existing presentation contract, guided by our feedback. These documents remain in process. The accessibility portion of the documents, in particular, need more work. We have reached out to the Disability Plus Working Group to collaborate. An essential next step is to solicit feedback from a lawyer, parentheses, or multiple lawyers, end parentheses, particularly those with expertise in arts contracts. Next working group, Communications Working Group. We are the internal communicators and facilitators for CNF, and as such we strive to consistently center the CNF values within all communication of the collective. We gather information from the various working groups, manage social media, and schedule and organize meetings within CNF, among many other things. The workload is intense and our efforts are focused toward decentralizing labor and decision-making while prioritizing accessible practices. We are deep in the learning phase of how to find the balance between urgency and, quote, moving at the speed of trust, end quote, parentheses, Adrienne Marie Brown, end parentheses. Next working group, Publicity Working Group. We are here to uplift the processes of CNF and support each working group's outward-facing work. We are developing a framework for a public sharing of CNF's works in progress, what we are calling an italicized text unconference, end italics. This unconference will center BIPOC and disabled plus voices. Next week we are gathering all of the CNF working groups together to ask questions such as, what form will this unconference take? What does it look like? When does it happen? How does it unfold? Next working group, Finance Funding Working Group. Our job is to bring clarity and transparency to how money flows into and out of CNF. We also support the ongoing development of a working group budgetary approval process, which prioritizes BIPOC and disabled plus artists in this work. We gathered a budget council comprised of members from each CNF working group to come together around this financial process, and the budget council is coming up on its third meeting later this month. Next working group, Nature, Culture, Watershed Working Group. The Nature, Culture, Watershed Working Group is dreaming of arts funders who incorporate the ecological boundaries of watersheds into their funding process and acknowledge the ways that funding for the arts is entangled with the ecosystems that support arts and culture. In addition, we dream of arts funders who are eager to address the ways in which current-day philanthropy still embodies the legacies of slavery, white supremacy, and genocide, and commit to reparations through ecological responsibility and multi-species care. Nature culture is a term using Donna Haraway's nature cultures, which insists that nature and culture are so tightly interwoven that they cannot be separated into nature and culture. The nature-culture framework allows for new ways of thinking about agency, power, difference and sociality, and multi-species histories and speculative multi-species futures. We invite anyone interested in multi-species liberation, radical philanthropy, and decolonization in action to review our constantly evolving outline of this work. Found, hyperlink text, here, end hyperlink. It is our hope that this conversation can grow through a multiplicity of voices in order to better embody CNF's value of prioritizing BIPOC and disabled plus projects and perspectives. A black line separates the fifth block of text from the final block of text. In bold pink flush left text, the final heading reads, "Thank you for your interest and engagement in our ongoing collective work." In black text below, in our commitment to prioritize BIPOC and disabled plus voices, if you identify as such and are interested in participating in the work, please contact email address creatingnewfuturesdance@gmail.com. In solidarity and with care, the CNF Communications Working Group, April Biggs, Andy Chapman, Michelle Fletcher, David King, Catherine Kirk, Ariel Lembeck, Tyler Rye, and Kirsten Michelle Snitker. To make sure our upcoming newsletters don't make their way into your spam folder, please make sure you add our address to your contact list of safe senders. From